Happy Monday, Lions Den. I wanted to cover anger and controlling it in our Monday YouTube. Now, anger, of course, is a normal and even a healthy emotion, but it is important to deal with it in a positive way. Uncontrolled anger can take a toll on both your health and your relationships. So, I have 10 anger management tips that I want to go over. First is think before you speak. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to say something that you're going to regret later and that you can't take back. So take a few moments, collect your thoughts before saying anything, and allow others involved in the situation to have the same grace. 2. Once you're calm, express your anger. As soon as you are thinking clearly, go ahead and express your frustration in an assertive but non confrontational way. State your concerns and needs clearly and directly without hurting others or trying to control them. Get some exercise. Physical activity can help reduce stress that can cause you to become angry. If you feel your anger escalating, go for a brisk walk, go for a run, spend some time doing other enjoyable physical activities to just reduce that stress level. Take a timeout, and that's number 4. Timeouts aren't just for kids, so give yourself a short break during the day. And it tends to make things less stressful. A few moments of just quiet time might help you feel more prepared to handle what's ahead without getting irritated or angry. 5. Identify possible solutions. Instead of focusing on what made you mad, work on resolving the issue at hand. Does your child's messy room drive you crazy? Just close the door. Is your partner late for dinner every single night? Why don't we schedule meals later? Or agree to eat on your own a few times a week? Remind yourself that anger won't fix anything, and it might only make it worse. 6. Stick with I statements. To avoid criticizing or placing blame, which is only going to increase tension, use I statements to describe the problem. And be respectful and specific. For example, I'm upset that you left the table without offering to help with the dishes, instead of, well, you never do any housework. 7. Don't hold a grudge. Forgiveness is a powerful tool for you and the other person. If you allow anger or other negative feelings to crowd out the positive feelings, you might find yourself swallowed up by your own bitterness and sense of injustice. But if you can forgive someone who angered you, you could both learn from the situation and strengthen your relationship. 8. Use humor to release that tension. Lightening up can help diffuse tension. Use humor to help you face what's making you angry, and possibly any unrealistic expectations you have for how things should go. However, avoid sarcasm. It can hurt feelings and just make things worse. 9. Practice relaxation skills. When your temper flares, put relaxation skills to work. Practice deep breathing exercises. Imagine a relaxing scene. Or repeat a calming word or phrase that works for you, such as take it easy. You might also listen to music, write in your journal, or do a few yoga poses. Whatever it takes to encourage relaxation for you. 10. Know when to seek help. Learning to control anger is a challenge for everyone at times. Seeking help for anger issues, if your anger seems out of control, can definitely help, and it would prevent you from causing you to do things you regret or hurting the people around you. We did find some strategies that may help you keep your anger at bay. The first one is going to be relaxation. Simple relaxation tools such as deep breathing, relaxing imagery, deep breathing and relaxing imagery can help calm down angry feelings. There are books and courses that can teach you relaxation techniques, and once you learn those techniques, you can call upon them at any time. If you are involved in a relationship where both partners are hot-tempered, it could be a good idea for both of you to learn these techniques and practice them together and encourage that practice. Some simple steps you can try is breathing deeply from your diaphragm. Breathing from your chest won't relax you. So picture your breath coming up from your gut or your belly. Slowly repeat a calming word or phrase such as relax, take it easy, calm down, and repeat it to yourself while breathing deeply. You can also use imagery. So visualize a relaxing experience from either your memory or your imagination. Non-strenuous, Slow yoga exercises can relax your muscles and make you feel much calmer. And practice these techniques daily, even when you aren't having an angry situation. That way you can use them automatically when you're in a tense situation. You can also use cognitive restructuring. Simply put, this means that you're changing the way you think. It's also referred to as CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy. So, angry people tend to curse, swear, or speak in highly colorful terms that reflect their inner thoughts. I'm not saying you can't cuss or anything like that, but when you're angry, you may cuss or swear or yell or whatever. But when you're angry, your thinking can get very exaggerated and overly dramatic. So try replacing those dramatic and exaggerated thoughts with more rational ones. For instance, instead of telling yourself, "Oh, it's awful, it's terrible, everything's ruined," tell yourself, "It's frustrating, it's understandable that I'm upset, but it's not the end of the world, and getting angry about it isn't going to fix it anyway." Be careful of the words never or always when talking about yourself or someone else. They are inaccurate, and they also serve to make you feel that your anger is justified and there's no way to solve the problem. And if you're telling them to someone else or the person that you're arguing with, it's going to alienate them and humiliate them. And they probably won't be willing to work with you on a solution now that you've done that to them. You can try problem solving. Now, sometimes our anger and frustration are caused by very real and inescapable problems in our lives. Not all anger is misplaced, and it's often healthy and a natural response to these difficulties. There's also a cultural belief that every problem has a solution, and it adds to our frustration that it isn't always the case. The best attitude to bring to most situations is not to focus on finding a solution, but rather on how you handle and face the problem. So make a plan, check your progress along the way, resolve to give it your best, but also not punish yourself if the answer doesn't come right away. Give yourself some time. If you can approach it with your best intentions and efforts and make a serious attempt to face it head on, you'll be less likely to lose patience and fall into an all or nothing way of thinking, even if the problem doesn't get resolved right away. Better communication. Angry people tend to jump to or act on conclusions, and some of those conclusions can be very inaccurate. The first thing to do if you're in a heated discussion is slow down and think about your responses. Don't say the first thing that comes into your head, but slow down and think carefully about what you want to say. At the same time, listen carefully to what the other person is saying and take your time before answering. Listen to listen. Do not listen to respond. Then you're only going back and forth, and your anger is only going to rise, and so is theirs, or they're going to shut down if they're not a hot-tempered person. You can also even write down how you're feeling and make it clear to your partner or whoever you're arguing with that you would rather write down how you're feeling and go over everything in writing back and forth, so that way you have time to write down and clearly go over your responses, so that way you're not jumping into something and hurting them. Listen to what is underlying the anger. For instance, you like a certain amount of freedom and personal space, but your significant other wants more connection and closeness. If he or she starts complaining about your activities, don't retaliate by painting your partner as a jailer or a warden or a ball and chain. Sit down and discuss it, or write it out and discuss it if that's how you better handle things. Make quality time with that person, but make it clear that you still need some personal time too. And if you handle it that way, then hopefully the other person will understand, hey, they do want to be close to me, but they need time for themselves too. It is natural to get defensive when you're criticized, but don't fight back. Instead, listen to what's underlying the words. The message that person might be saying is that they feel neglected or unloved. And it may take a lot of patient questioning on your part to understand what is underlying it. But if you're going to get defensive, it's not going to work. It may require some breathing space, but don't let your anger or your partner's let a discussion spin out of control. Keeping your cool in the situation is going to help it not become a disastrous one. So just take your time, breathe, and really try to listen to what is underlying. Ask questions or even re-say what they said back to them so they feel like they're understood, and just say, okay, well, I am hearing that you're saying this. Are you meaning this? And they can say yes or no. No sarcasm, no joking around. Just simply say it back to them and say, this is what I'm hearing, and this is what I'm understanding from it. And that way they can say, no, I guess I didn't really say that right. This is what I mean by it. And that's when it goes back to those I statements. I'm hearing this. Is this what you're meaning? Maybe changing your environment. Sometimes it's our immediate surroundings that give us cause for irritation and fury. Problems and responsibilities can weigh on you and make you feel angry at the trap that you seem to have fallen into and all the people and things that form that trap. If you want to have a discussion and maybe the house is dirty while you're doing it, or that's what you're arguing about, take a drive, listen to some music, but don't just up and leave without them. Let them know, hey, I'm getting aggravated. I think I'm going to go for a drive. I'll be right back. Or you have my location, or I'll be back in this much time. Still leave that communication open. Don't just up and leave. That's never healthy. But you may just say, hey, I'm frustrated right now. I don't want to lash out. I just needed some time. I'm going to go and take a breather, and I'll be right back. And if I feel like we need to discuss something, I'll let you know. I may just need to calm down, and I may be over exaggerating it, and it may not even be a big deal. Your partner, though, or if you're the other person that and your partner is saying this, you're going to have to understand that maybe they might come back and they may not want to talk about it right then. They may have over exaggerated it in their mind and it not be a big deal. So I do understand to some people that can be triggering because they've been left or something. And I think you should definitely express that to say, hey, is there any way you could just go in the other room and breathe? Or it's not that I don't trust you, I've just been hurt, and people up and leave. Anger in relationships is all about communication when it comes down to it. You have got to communicate what is bothering you, but not in a hateful or rash way, because it's just going to send you down a wormhole of nothing's going to change because this person feels attacked, and then you're still upset. You feel like you have talked to them and expressed something to them and nothing has changed. But it's because you came to them and they weren't able to listen to you because they shut down or they got angry too. It doesn't help. So I do recommend changing your environment if it doesn't trigger the other person, or if you're even able to go for a drive with the other person. Hey, I got angry. I need to step away for a minute. I want to go for a drive and listen to music. Do you want to go with me? We don't have to, I don't want to talk about it, but let's just go for a drive. Let's take some space and just get our minds off of what's going on. Lastly, just give yourself some break and some personal time. Even schedule it, especially if you're with somebody and they do want that closeness. Schedule it with them. Say, hey, on this day and this day, I would like an hour to where I'm just kind of by myself. I can have some breathing room. I can detox from my work day. I'm not going to take anything out on you. So that way, I have that detox time and I have that personal time to kind of just reevaluate where I am in my mindset. And it can prep me for anything that would be particularly stressful with work or a relationship or social, environmental, whatever, especially with the holidays coming up, if you need, some space to prep for all that craziness. So just definitely give yourself a break. Also, I want to say, as usual, the Lion's Den is always here. So if you need to just vent, if you need help with, learning these techniques, or ideas for techniques, you just need an unbiased opinion, or your significant other is trying these techniques and you don't understand how to be on the other side of it because you're not a hot-tempered person, just anything, just anything at all, please reach out to us. We've all been through it. I personally am currently in therapy using cognitive behavioral therapy, um, which is, just kind of changing your mindset, because I am one of those always or never people. And my mind completely goes to, well, this is the worst situation and nothing's going to fix it. And this person never does this or they always do this. And I exaggerate. And it's a huge problem. And I have been in therapy for a while for it. And I mean, 27 years of having a certain way of thinking, you can't expect to just flip like a switch. Bad habits are really hard to break. And so I definitely give myself some grace when it comes to not handling a situation right. And I'm like, well, I've been in therapy for this. Why didn't I handle it correctly? But in all reality, before I wouldn't have realized I didn't handle it correctly. Before I didn't realize that I should have done this, I should have done that. And now I can go back and say, hey, I should have handled it this way. I'm sorry, or maybe I do a little bit better than what I would have before. I didn't jump to any conclusions, but I still got heated. I still raised my voice, or I still exaggerated a little bit and used those never or always statements in part of the situation. I've been doing really well right now with writing down how I'm feeling and using I statements while writing things down, and then presenting it to whoever I'm angry with, or they're angry with me. And um, that helps. So it's little steps, and I have to pat myself on the back when I make those little steps, even though they don't feel like they're big enough. So you definitely can always reach out to me on the page. I'm sure the moderators and the admin have had some anger issues too, or dealt with it on the other side. If you're not the hot tempered one and you're dealing with someone that's hot tempered and they don't really realize they have anger issues. But we're always here. So please reach out to us. Please feel free to vent to us, to, make it known that you are just needing someone to talk to, because that's what we're here for. So I really hope the rest of your week is awesome. I will be back as usual on Friday with a new discussion topic, and I just hope the rest of your week is great. See you on Friday.